Welcome back to Project Seawolf. Today is going to be a big work day, and thanks to Jim on Patreon and in the YouTube comments, I have more epoxy. So I was actually getting kind of afraid of working on some of these projects because I knew I'd run out of epoxy, but Jim really pulled through, and holy cow, I've got enough epoxy to finish this job. So what I want to do today, now that I have the epoxy, is add bulkheads where I need them. So bulkhead out, this down in there. Sorry about the mess, I moved everything out of the V-berth when I put in all the tabbing. But yeah, there needs to be like a kind of like a keystone shaped bulkhead here, and then some bulkheads here to separate some things out, and then also some walls in the anchor locker to continue that work. But for now, I just want to bulkhead out this area just to have the structure mostly finished today. I'm just going to take a look at what's going on up here. I don't know what happened. Why it's white. It's really smooth too. Or does the epoxy turn that color when something happens or something? I don't know. There's been a lot of rain lately. This drip here in this corner hasn't done much, but there's a new one over here. Looks like it's dripping through the stanchion backing plate. Okay, well, redoing the stanchion and the toe rail hardware is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's just, I know I'm gonna also be doing a lot of deck repair along the way, but it needs to be done. And yeah, I think in upcoming episodes, that's definitely gonna be one of the focuses, for sure. One of the big days is gonna be doing that. Alright, I've prepared the surfaces here in the bilge. We're gonna head forward in a sec. This bulkhead is going to attach along here and support the sole over here, and also help lateral support and connect these bulkheads that are off to the sides and just make a more solid structure. There is this hole, which is usually covered by a wood step. Yeah, I think they just made this hole to be able to access, well, I guess it would have been the bilge, but yeah, they had some electronics in here and stuff, and there's no way I'm going to put electronics in here because the water that comes in through the companionway is going to flow over these doors and onto this step, and definitely don't want to have any heavy electronics exposed here. When I put in the bulkhead in here, it's going to also support a little flat platform here, which is also going to be Divinycell and fiberglass. So a little bit more work than I expected, but I think the end results will be pretty solid. Alright, I've thought about this a little bit more, and I think what's going to happen now is I'm going to add a little bulkhead here. So just there's a gap down in here that I want to fill, or at least to block water, so that this area is isolated right here. And then I also want to isolate this forward area right here. So I'm going to add another bulkhead under here, and that's going to extend out the sides as well. And that will add some rigidity to the V-berth platform and also the hull up here. And then additionally, so 3 bulkheads now, 1, 2, and now 3 in extension of the V. I'll make kind of an arch in there eventually, but I also need the floor of the anchor locker. So, but I think I'll leave the anchor locker floor for next time. But this time I want to add this bulkhead and that little bulkhead down there. I removed some of the old tabbing that was in the V-berth. It attached some of the old water tank that was up there and the rest of the sole. And then I used cardboard as a straight edge. Probably not the best straight edge, but it did the job and it got me to the surfaces I want. Alright, I have the surfaces prepped, so now I'm just going to create the stencils and clean it off with acetone, and then we'll be good to start cutting up the Divinycell and fiberglass. I never really found much accuracy in the cardboard stencils, but it is handy to be able to cut it up and create some more complex shapes with the cardboard in multiple pieces.
Well, it's not pretty, but it'll work, I guess. Alright, I have pretty much what I want for the for this big bulkhead. Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna add an inch to all these sides on this shield shaped one.
To cut out the Divinity foam, I placed the stencils down and outlined them with a Sharpie, and then I was able to cut through the Divinity saw, even the 1/2 inch stuff, with a short razor. Then it breaks apart, snaps really nice. And for the big bulkhead, I wanted a lot of structure, and so here I'm using 1/2 inch Divinity cell foam for the structural elements. All right, we have all the stencils for the 3 big bulkheads that I want to do. Well, I guess 2 big ones and 1 small one. I'm going to take these home with some biaxial roving and epoxy, and then we're going to laminate both sides, and then we're going to come back on the boat and tab them in. That way I can wash the kids as well. The babies are asleep. Soon electric motor. Do you want to try the food again? Oh, he took a step. Oh my goodness. Son, you're gonna be walking. Alright, we're back on the boat. It's Halloween in real time. I hope everybody's enjoying their spooky season. It's my kid's first Halloween, so we dressed them up and had a good time. We've got the panels. They turned out great. They sealed up last night, and they're ready to go in. So I'm just gonna clean up the edges of all these panels and then tab them in and use some thickened epoxy on some of the gaps. I think these are gonna be great for just being separators. This one might provide some structure, but generally I just want them to be separators. Small channels and project channels like mine, every single person helps out so much, whether it's in the comments or on the Patreon or however, it really does make a huge difference, every individual person. That being said, I've also revamped the Patreon. There's from $1 to $100 depending on what you want to receive in return. And for those already on the Patreon and commenting in the comments, thank you so much for your support. It really does help the channel out a lot. But enough of that, let's get back to work. All right, look at that. Oh my goodness. I'll probably have to create some drains down here. Hopefully I can make them one way so it only goes into the bilge and not out of the bilge. But wow, okay, cool. There's a wall where there isn't one, and or wasn't one. And here I'm gonna create another panel over the top and make this solid. Maybe I'll add a tiny access port here or something, but regardless, I need to make a fill piece here, and then that'll complete the structural part of this wall. Wow, cool. So now there's some longitudinal support and lateral support from this keystone piece. Cool. All right, just got to tab it in now. For most of the tabbing, I used chop strand and epoxy. I also used some chop strand in some areas that I thought could use a little another layer. But for the panels in the third bulkhead I worked on that were split into different pieces, I used biaxial roving to help shore up those seams so that it would be rock solid. All right. So I think I have the sword sorted out. Oh man, got some epoxy in my hair, now it's all crazy. Yeah, tabbed in parts of this side. I'll do more on this side once the other side's dry. I ended up screwing in the panels, so these screws will be removed and then filled with thickened epoxy, and I can use that as kind of like a vent to also inject more thickened epoxy into the gaps, so that will just make it stronger. The bulk of the work happened in here. Getting up in those corners was just a nightmare, but it's done now. So this is a bulkhead that I've wanted to build for a long time. It's not perfect, but you know, I think I reinforced the seams pretty good, and there's plenty of layers of fiberglass now. Yeah, I like this process of coming out, measuring, cutting the foam, and then laminating at home where I can watch the kids at the same time. So I think we'll be able to get a lot more done doing it that way on my end. Well, we're downtown in my hometown of Olympia, Washington. There's the Capitol building over there. Got the kiddos. This is a very, very special place to me. And symbolically, I want it to be the place where I cast off for circumnavigation. So in about 8 years and 4 months from today, I want to be tied up to this dock here at the end, celebrating both the beginning and the end of a real journey. But before that can happen, there's a lot of boat work that needs to be done. There's a lot of preparations that need to be done. These kiddos need to be a little older, a little more self-reliant. Sorry, the boardwalk is not doing you guys any favors. Hopefully, for some significant stretches, I can have the kids along too. Believe it or not, I used to work security all over downtown Olympia, from the city hall to most of the government buildings to this building here, which is the senior center and community center, which is part of Percival Landing. And we're here because I want to thank my sponsors, and I'm sending out a bunch of the prints that I made a little while ago to everybody who supported me through September and October. These are going everywhere from Germany to Canada to Pennsylvania, New York, Texas. Thank you to everybody. And let's get this boat done and let's get sailing.